let's go here, Ephraim, because we can't get enough of the Kevin Durant Golden State conversation. And we'll get into whether or not that's fair in the next segment. But for this segment, I want to talk about it. And I think look, and I'm speaking strictly from a basketball standpoint, Ephraim, because Kevin Durant, like anybody else, can do whatever he wants, right? If he wants to go play in Minnesota just because he likes it there, the cold weather, whatever, then by all means, you're free to do that. So I'm speaking from a basketball standpoint, not a personal standpoint. I believe it's clear, at least right now, because look, if he wins a championship or two in Brooklyn, this will all change. But right now, it looks like he made a colossal mistake leaving Golden State. And I'm gonna explain why, and then I want your thoughts. We know that part of why he left was because he felt like he would never get the credit he deserved for being there in Golden State, even as they win. He would never be viewed as his team. People would focus on he went to a stacked team, so on and so forth. 73 wins, champion, all that. Championship. The other reason was that the feeling was that in addition to taking the easy road to a championship, that they didn't even need him. Like they won it without you, dude. They were a game away from winning a second one without you against LeBron James. And Draymond said it, right? In their argument. We don't need you. Leave on the sidelines during the game. So that's why he left. And here's what I say, Ephraim. I believe it was still there a little bit, but I believe as time was going on when he was in Golden State, and as they were winning championship after championship, the narrative was switching. It was still there a little bit, but switching from Kevin Durant, how in the world could he go to a 73-win championship team that beat him in the playoffs, to Kevin Durant is awesome. People were praising Durant. He was being called by some the best player in the world, better than LeBron James. And had they kept winning, Ephraim, I believe it would have gotten to a point where they would have been so dominant that would have been the narrative overriding, oh, he went to this stacked team. And here's the kicker. Them losing in 2019 to Toronto when Kevin Durant was hurt. Whether that's, look, we now know they can win it. They could win it again without Durant, right? But we didn't know it at that point. When they lost to Toronto, all we knew is the last two finals they've played without KD. Cleveland 2016, Toronto 2019, they lost. And when Kevin Durant would have came back from injury and they win another championship, it would have looked like right or wrong, because it would have been wrong. They could win it without him. Mm-hmm. We know now, but the optics would have been, he's the one. They need him. Steph was there in 2019. Steph was there in 2016. KD is the answer. It can still be Steph's team because he was here, but KD is the driving force. And I think these top 10 conversations we're having about Steph, we would instead be having about Kevin Durant. And that's why I think, Ephraim, he made a mistake.
Yeah, I think he made a mistake because he got blinded by the ego aspect of it.
Yes. And he didn't care when he went there.
No.
Ego was gone.
That was gone. But, a lot of this hinges on the altercation Draymond and he had. What we do know about Kevin Durant, he's very sensitive. This is burner account Kevin Durant. This is he will react and answer anybody on Twitter who says something he doesn't like. Like he's in touch with his feelings. And so a public altercation like that with the language that was used, it was said, we don't need you, called him some other stuff. So he felt that. That's an ego bruise. Right?
Right.
So
right.
he gets a call from his buddy, come to Brooklyn, let's do this thing together. Cool, bet, I'm out. Now, Golden State was willing to pay him a handsome, king's ransom to stay. He's going to make $75 million, I think, for the year he wouldn't even be eligible to play. They were like, rehab, we're going to do everything we can. You know, they offered him a super max deal.
Right.
He chose not to go. Now, the egg on the face is they needed me to win these two, which they didn't. We would have won a third. I got hurt. I'm going to go do it somewhere else. They're going to suffer for not having me. Well, the complete opposite happened. KD came back last year. He was a toenail away from moving on. Didn't happen. This year, he was a friend who was who was unreliable.
Right.
Didn't happen. Yet Golden State sat there for 2 years. They stacked their roster with young talent. They developed them, and they won a championship. Now Kevin Durant is sitting there like, oh, wow. Could you imagine if Kevin Durant, even last year, with the way Steph was playing and Kevin Durant was healthy,
they may have won it last year.
They may have won it last year.
That's the absolute.
So think about that. Steph was averaging 30 points a game last year.
Yep.
So think about even without Clay, right? People forget about that.
Yep.
Right?
Because you did have Wiggins last year.
You had Wiggins last year. So now you got Wiggins, you got KD, you got Steph.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that could have been right now. So that's 2 years.
They would have won so much. Like I said, the narrative would have changed. All right, you do have Chris, and Ephraim is in for Rob Parker. And we were talking about Kevin Durant. Let's stay there, Ephraim. There's been as much conversation about KD as there has about Steph. Mm-hmm. And more than any other Warrior, probably including Draymond Green, since they won this championship. In your view, is that fair? Fair to KD?
Of course. Of course it is, because you have to be held accountable for your decisions. Right? You walk away from a situation where when you were at Golden State, you were held, although Steph had 2 MVP back-to-backs, you were held as the best player on that team.
Right.
Right? You won the championship. You get hurt. You lose in the finals. And you decide that I want to go do it my own way. And there's pride there too. And I get it, as a professional athlete who's considered one of the best players in the world, you don't ever want to hear, well, you couldn't have done it. You couldn't do it on your own. Like Charles Barkley says, right? Charles Barkley came out and said, until you win it on your own, not joining an MVP, but until you win it on your own, then the old heads don't consider you, one of the all-time greats. Now,
don't respect you like that.
Right, don't respect you like that.
They consider you.
Now, Barkley's never won a championship, so I'll be like, all right, homeboy, we get it. Okay, yeah, whatever. But I'm not playing for the old heads.
Right.
Right? This man had an opportunity. Just think, if we're talking about Kevin Durant right now, he stays in Golden State, he has 2 more championships.
That would be you know what the conversation would be? If he had 2 more rings. So like you said, we can assume. We don't know for a fact, but it ain't a bad assumption that they would have won it last year.
No, it is not. Right? It is not.
And then they win it this year. You know what the conversation would begin to be, Ephraim. Now, I think LeBron James is just a better player than Kevin Durant. But don't you think that would become the conversation? If Durant had 4 going into the next year looking for 5,
cool.
And then we saw the Golden State lose to Toronto without him, which Toronto wasn't a phenomenal team. They were pretty good. But like I said, that would have killed the notion that they don't need him. It would have been like, oh, they needed Durant. You saw that. So that is the mistake that he made. And I agree with you. It is fair game. And here's Kevin Durant has to understand it, and hopefully he does. He has to understand, Ephraim, this is all a compliment. Because you are considered, and you are, that caliber of player. We don't talk this way about everybody.
No.
We're not talking about why Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan don't have a title or didn't get to the conference finals.
Nope.
Nobody's killing them. When they're criticizing you of this because they know you are that good. And that's why there was the pressure on Durant that he felt to go to a Golden State in the first place. I will say this. This is one thing Steph Curry has had the benefit of that, say, a LeBron James and even a Kevin Durant didn't. Ephraim, Steph, when he came into the league and even all the way up until he won a championship, he had the benefit of playing without expectations, like big expectations. Of course, there was some, but yeah, nobody was like, oh, he's got to win a title.
No.
Is he that good until he wins the ring? None of that. That's a relief. You don't have to play with that pressure. LeBron and KD and anybody, Luka will begin to feel it eventually, right? Giannis, if he doesn't win for the next few years, he's going to feel it. When you're that caliber, people expect more. You have to win. And that's why LeBron and KD ultimately ended up moving on from their first teams. Because they knew it's like, yo, I got to win. I got to get these people off my back.
I got to win now.
Right. And that's a benefit. It's a compliment to Durant. So I agree with you. I think it's fair. And he's got to understand that. And to be honest, use this as motivation to do what he got to do in Brooklyn. And look, as great as Kevin Durant is, the evidence is he's not a leader. He even said it in GQ magazine when he was in Golden State. One of the things I love about playing here is I don't have to be the leader. And so, but Ephraim, that's what's missing.
Yeah.
A Michael Jordan, a LeBron James would tell, look, you can't make another grown man do something he don't want to do. But you can create an atmosphere where, bruh, we trying to win something here. Now, you either with us or you're not. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And that's the difference. That's the difference. When you don't allow yourself, like he passed up what'll be said, and we don't know how Kevin Durant's career is going to play out. But if this man never wins another championship, you know how bad this is going to sting.
Yeah.
Think about that. If this man never wins, and I don't know what's going to happen.
It's a very real possibility.
It is a very real possibility that he never wins another championship. You want to talk about what could have been.
Right.
You'll be having these conversations for the rest of your life. Any barbershop, anywhere you go, it'll be debated from now until forever about what should have happened, what could have happened if you would have just stayed on a championship caliber team. Cut out all the naysayers. Oh, he can't do. At a certain point, none of that matters.
Right.
Because if Kevin Durant would have stayed on Golden State, and this is all speculatory, for the last 2 years, they won the championship, and he's the Finals MVP again.
He probably at least gets one of those.
Right?
At least he might get
At least
four,
he might get both.
At least three.
But now you're talking about a guy who won 4 championships. No matter what team he was on, he was the best player in the finals on all 4 of those championship teams. So that's 4 championship team rings and 4 MVPs. Now we having a different conversation.
Right. Yeah.
Right now we having opposed to that, having that conversation. Now we like, man, what was he thinking? What was it? His homeboy didn't even want to get vaccinated. You don't think he was like, yo, man, I came here for you. What are you doing?
Right. And I don't know what conversations he and Kyrie had. Personally, I don't think Durant confronted him, but I could be wrong. But if I got a homeboy, Ephraim, and I'm gonna respect this view. And ultimately, if he don't do it, he don't do it. But I'm definitely sitting down and being like, bruh, come on, man. This is what we came here to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
he don't have to do it, and it's not gonna ruin. I'm not gonna like cut him off. He's still gonna be my friend. But I'm at the very least gonna speak my mind and try to convince him on taking one for the team. And hopefully Durant did that. If he didn't even do that, then that's, come on.
I think he did because James Harden, I'm sure James did it as well. James was like, I got to get out. I can't be in here. I can't be here.
Yeah, James seems to have thought once Kyrie started playing again, right, that he clearly thought he was going to get vaccinated.
Yeah. Well, and so James was like, yeah, I'm going to pull a plug on this. I'm out.
Right.
Like and James has his own issues he needs to work through. Right. So
absolutely.
You had a whole
they all got a lot to prove.
There's a lot of dysfunction going on in Brooklyn right now.
Right.